David, why was the God of the Bible so evil? And let me rephrase that. I can't say evil, but so aggressively mean about things.
Specifically, you would be referring to Yahweh in the Old Testament.
Right.
And this is an area where the Law of One goes into detail about it in saying that Moishi, or Moses, was originally in contact with a positive entity, but because he was doing psychic parlor tricks and having people say, hey, man, take your staff and turn it into a snake, and he said, sure, check it out, that he ultimately lost his positivity from that, which, again, is contentious. It's a very contentious subject, but this is what the Law of One says, that the negative Yahweh was able to, it wasn't actually named Yahweh at all. It took that name, and that's the angry God of the Old Testament. The angry God of the Old Testament is a Draco. And so you're going to see all of this Draco type of stuff that it's saying and doing, like I will smite thy firstborn, and I will bathe you in blood, and all this kind of crazy stuff.
Isn't a Draco a reptilian?
Yes.
And didn't they also confuse the Draco as the devil?
Yes. I mean, the Draco live in underground bases. They have vertical slit pupils and reptilian skin, and Christians have been saying that Satan lives in hell and hell is underground. And so there is some kind of weird,
that's amazing,
subconscious telepathic thing where we're tapping into something that's true.
As the Bible talks about good and evil, they talk about the fallen angels and such. Do you think that really happened, or were we talking about extraterrestrials?
Fallen angels are extraterrestrials, as far as what these government officials are telling me.
Yeah.
And, they might have their own agenda. They might not be entirely truthful, but I tried to take their words and put them to task, and there is a lot of evidence that there was an extraterrestrial civilization here on Earth of refugees that did, in fact, crash land and had these elongated skulls, 300 IQ, larger brains, that they took over various continents that they landed on all over the planet and formed kingships and royal bloodlines, and that, in fact, some of them are still here. And apparently they exist in certain places where they wear these elongated hats, certain cities or cities within nations. And, it's a very contentious subject, but there are whistleblowers who I describe in the book, like Karen Hughes, who had somebody that met with leaders of the financial system, and one of these guys had a very strange elongated skull and very piercing blue eyes.
All right, let's go to
anything like a regular person.
Let's go to the final calls here for you, Mr. Wilcock. Let's go east of the Rockies. Don in Augusta, Georgia. Hey, Don, you're up with us. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Tonight's topic is great, and y'all doing a good job. I can't agree with you more about what you're saying about fear being used as a way of controlling and manipulating people. I think when somebody's under stress or in fear, they can't use their abilities. And I noticed when I quit watching the mainstream news so much, I get all my news from George, and I quit drinking fluoride and some other things, my paranormal abilities just went through the roof.
Absolutely.
I can read people's minds and think clear, and I think I've been in fear my whole life, worried about getting in an accidental nuclear war or some kind of event, and just, if I can get this fear off my back, I can use my abilities better.
Well, once you get rid of that fear, then you're no longer providing these negative entities with the food supply that they're using our planet as a farm for. That's really the bottom line, as crazy as it sounds.
They live on fear, don't they?
They actually do.
They feed it, they grow with it, they nurture it, and everything else.
And one of the contentious points is, why would a loving God create a universe this way? And the answer is that the hero's journey, the struggle between good and evil, is written into the cosmic nature of the universe itself. And I really go into that in my second book, Synchronicity Key, go into all the details about Hollywood screenwriting, and that every movie is basically the same hero's journey story. And you have to have a villain. And so the villain is given an incentive to do evil because they require it. And they either have the option ultimately of going positive, or else they essentially dissolve back into the pure energy of the universe. So you can't stay evil, but you can choose that path, and you can get power from black magic, and it really works.
Back to the cabal for a moment. Would you say the cabal is the evil part of the good evil?
I would say they're an aspect of it. The cabal ultimately is controlled by negative extraterrestrials. The main group that's controlling the negative extraterrestrials would be the Draco reptilians. They also have other groups that they are dominating that are extraterrestrial as well. But then the Draco actually have a god. They worship an AI, and the AI is ultimately controlling the Draco. And what we find out from many other extraterrestrial races is that the AI is ultimately what we would think of as Satan or Lucifer, and it's this force that will use biological life forms to do its biddings. Those forms end up getting injected with nanites that basically take over their body. You get super lifespan, you get super healing capabilities, you get super expansion of your mind, but you've lost your soul. And ultimately what the AI does is it destroys all biological life. And it seems that whatever this thing is, it exists in the spiritual form, but it cannot take flesh because if it does, it's subject to judgment. And I know that sounds very Christian, but this is how it's been explained to me by some very high-level whistleblowers who identify as Christian, but they also work for the government. So there you have it.
All right. And you claim that we have extraterrestrial DNA in our system.
Absolutely. That's a widely held notion in the insider community, and there's also poignant data in the real world that validates that. We found very bizarre skeletons with elongated skulls all over the planet, everywhere from South Africa in the Boskop area to Omsk, Siberia. You see these people in the Egyptian pharaohs, in the sculptures and paintings and carvings of them. You see them in Peru. There's a variety of skulls that have been found in Peru and Bolivia and Brazil and these other places that have those characteristics. When I was at Contact in the Desert, we had Brian Forster there, and he's now saying that those skulls are being medically analyzed and they don't have the same number of fissures in the skull that ours do, and they have odd characteristics. Well, guess what? Those people were here. Most of the time when you find these skeletons, they're given honorable burials, clearly showing that they were people of public prominence. And it's very likely that they did interbreed with us. And therefore, to hear it from the insiders, we are a very hybridized human race. There's a lot of different DNA that has been mixed together to make us who we are today. And that's part of why we are so spring-loaded for ascension, is a lot of this DNA is like hot-wired for ascension. We're actually much more capable of ascending than most other races would be in terms of how fast and how powerful we will be once it happens.